This is a video about depression from somebody who's suffered with depression from probably his late teens. I'm 47 now, okay? There were times that were better, there were times that were worse, and it's my understanding of depression as I've experienced it, and also what I think about it, whether it goes away, whether it doesn't. I see a lot of videos out there with people giving you advice of how to get over depression. If they're people that have never suffered with it, I'd be interested to know where they get their data from, etc. But really, it's more the people that give you advice of how to get over depression but still have it. Jordan Peterson being one of them, for instance. Now, whether I do respect a lot of what he says, and a lot of what he says is common sense. However, here's the thing, and here's the upsetting thing. If you've had chronic depression, will it ever go away? I don't know. Perhaps not. But you will learn, if you're willing to, ways of coping with it so it has a very tiny impact on your life. Years ago, for instance, take me. I never accepted my responsibilities. I always felt that I had bad luck. I had a lot of self-pity. I drank like a fish. I made some really bad choices, and I hung around with people that were bad for my health. You're going to get depression. I didn't deal with things from my past, and they're probably not dealt with now. All right, just to be honest. However, as you get older, you do see people who are bad for you for what they are, if you're lucky, or if you take the time to look. And when you reduce these people out of your life, that makes a difference. Taking responsibility for your life is a massive plus, and I can't say how much of a difference that made to my life. I used to let the girlfriend take responsibility. Oh, you take care of the finances, or you take care of this, and you take care of that. And when it wasn't done the way I liked it, I used to throw a wobbler, right? And shout and scream or anything like that. I just wasn't happy about things. But if I'd have been more of a man, I probably would have took it into hand myself, although I'm not the world's greatest with paperwork and stuff like that for obvious reasons. However, I let somebody else control my life. And you should control your own life, and you should take responsibility for it. And if you make a mistake, take responsibility for that if it was your fault. There are times in life it isn't your fault, but if it was, take responsibility for it. When you start getting into this mindset, you generally make less mistakes. Less mistakes have a positive effect on your life. And drinking. If you know that drinking has an effect on you, whether it makes you depressed or angry or do irrational things or whatever, you know that when you drink, in the morning, you could well wake up and go, what have I said? What have I done? Who have I got to apologise to? Now that causes depression. But that was self-inflicted. You didn't have to drink in the first place. Now, I like a drink, all right? And I know that, say, for instance, I do a Saturday Night Live and I have a few drinks, right? That Sunday I'm going to still probably be half cut and want to drink all the way through the day. If I do that, then towards Sunday night, I'll start to get the fear, the depression, the anxiety, everything, all that lot comes on. And by Monday night, or Sunday night into Monday morning, if I stop drinking early enough so that I could drive in the morning, I won't sleep that night from anxiety. So I know all of these things. So you have to work out yourself, is Saturday night worth it that much? Or can I just drink Saturday night and leave Sunday out? That takes discipline. Discipline is part of combating depression, by the way. So if you could, because I used to like going on 3-day benders, but by the end of it, I'd have so bad fear, right? It's like the fight or flight thing. The anxiety was off the scale to the point that you'd be being sick. The adrenaline would be rushing up and down your legs, etc. Everything was going to go wrong. It was terrible. All the depressing thoughts, all the evil thoughts that go through your head about self-worth and all that lot would be going at the same time. For 3 days on the piss, was it ever worth it? That's something you've got to decide. I mean, for me, I really did enjoy the time out drinking, but it was never worth the misery after. And then you've got the other things as well. Bad guts, pissing fucking acid because you've been drinking cider, all these things. So I reduced how much I started to drink, and people thought I was getting old or boring. But now I don't have anywhere near the levels of lowness. I'm not even sure it's proper depression anymore, because you know what's going on in the world, right? You've woken up to that. That's going to cause problems to you. I'm sorry, but that's the facts of it. The village idiot is the happiest person in the world because he doesn't know of the peril that he might be in. He doesn't think about the future and what could happen. He's just happy to be alive and happy in the moment. And as you become more and more enlightened, or you learn more about the world around you, you learn more about people, you are more susceptible to low moods and depression, because the fantasy that you thought life was, it isn't, right? But here's a positive thing. You shouldn't expect anything out of life, right? You shouldn't expect anything more than you can provide for yourself, right? So if you take those expectations away, you won't feel gutted, depressed, let down, a failure, or anything else. Because the village idiot doesn't expect anything out of life. You see some of these rock stars and stuff like that. Drugs were a massive problem, but they expected too much, and they got addicted to the heights that they got to. So when they came down, couldn't handle it, right? That's part of it. There's loads more. I used to think that I had to be a bloke married with 2 or 3 kids, a house, 2 cars, in a decent job, because that was what we were all told as a young person, to be successful, to be a good person, all that kind of rubbish, and had to be able to walk around with your head up high because you were all of this. That doesn't mean you're a good person, by the way, and it takes years to come around to that, because the system is geared up to tell you, oh, you think just being a happy and lovely and caring person makes you a good person, does it? Yeah, that's what failures always say. See, it's always set up like this. A lot of people want to be famous, although I couldn't actually understand why. Because of all the miseries that go with being famous, I can't actually get it. A lot of people want to be rich. Well, with rich goes its own problems as well. Once you make a lot of money, you attract people, the wrong people as well. Or you either attract people with money who want to show off their wealth alongside you with your wealth and rub people's noses in it. Not good. You'll get attracted, or people who want to scam you will be attracted to you. People who want a chunk of what you've got will be attracted to you. Low moral females, if you're a man, will be attracted to you, or low moral men, if you're a woman who with money, will be attracted to you. This is how it happens. It's, it works the same for both sexes. All of this lot will happen with lots of money. And you have to think about this. Are you geared up for that? Are you geared up for thinking, these people around me, are they my friends? Or is it they're after something of what I've got? That can cause depression. That can cause paranoia. Overthinking. Now, overthinking is one of the biggest causes of depression going. Not too many stupid people overthink, I have to say, but people who know enough, or people who know a fair bit, will overthink. People who suffer with anxiety. Well, what's anxiety? It's panicking about what could be. The fear of not knowing. If you had an exact A to Z roadmap of what was coming in your life, you could plan for it, although that would change your life. You know what I mean? Not knowing. Anxiety is something you can take a massive control over by being in control of your life. You know what's coming, when it's coming. You are prepared. You have things set aside. You have money set aside for the bills to be paid. Another thing I used to worry about, irresponsible, not paying my bills because I went out on the piss. So as you get older, taking control of things. But depression, if you're a person who is a feeling, caring, loving kind of a person, but if you've also mixed that with the understanding of what's going on around you, what's going on in the world, and what generally people are becoming these days, it's going to cause you problems. But you have to accept this. And in some cases, take myself, for instance. I've avoided the dating scene for about 7 years now because I've seen the way that a lot of women are going. These are not all women. Don't forget, there's a lot of very good women happily married to a decent bloke and living a good life, or as good as can be expected, excuse me. But this goes for both sexes. This isn't a dig at women, this is men and women. If you see those people that have lived on and off the dating sites for the last 20 years, and they keep coming back, you have to ask yourself questions. And these are the people I desperately want to avoid. I find dating sites carnage, but we can't meet people in the normal way. This does cause some sort of, it's a bit of a shit, isn't it? And you think to yourself, which can get you low, will I ever actually meet somebody who's a decent egg that can take me for all my flaws, and I have loads, and also accept what I do here? Is there somebody out there that will? Well, the reality is, yes, there is. But it's all about the luck of, are you going to meet up with them or whatever. But I leave that to fate. But if you're a single person out there who knows this kind of stuff, you may have anxieties which won't help about dating. And for that, I can't really help you. Seriously, I can't give you any advice on this. And if I did, it would be flawed. So I'm not going to. I just wish you the best of luck and hope for the best. Some people go for the 1 in 10, go on 10 dates. One's got to be all right. But I couldn't go through the harrowing experience of 9 dates sat opposite somebody I can't wait to get away from. So it brings us back to this situation now, doesn't it? But I think also you can use depression. There are, if you like, for me personally, there are upsides to depression. When I'm upbeat, I want to go everywhere and I want to do content, I want to interview people, I want to speak to people. When I'm depressed or low or whatever you want to call it, I generally withdraw, which in theory you shouldn't do. But what I do is I do a lot of research. I look into things, people, situations. And I build up a load of knowledge ready for when I come out of it for the next content I'm going to get. And I process. I do a lot of thinking when I'm depressed. So for me, as much as it can be a ball ache, it does have its good sides. And being up, when you go up, for me, can be a plus, but also a negative. So, yeah, you can't look at things like, say, for instance, in my case, bipolar, as a total burden. It's not. It's a gift and a burden. And you use it to you use the advantages of it when you're going through whatever cycle it is you're on. But the point of this video is about, I can only give you my own experiences. Now, my depression is as minimal now as it's ever been in my life, I would say, since I first became depressed. And all of that is from taking control of my life and getting a better understanding. And once you actually get an understanding of some of the reasons you felt depressed is because maybe you haven't reached these targets in your life that you'd expected or whatever, or that you hadn't become this person that you were told you needed to be. Well, had we fallen into the trap, the capitalistic trap? Now, I'm not going down, I'm not saying socialism is good or anything like that, but in the last 100 years, we've been trained through school, through media, through everything else to be great consumers. And to be good consumers, you needed to work really hard and spend a lot. And that was great for the system. And that's the way we've been taught through schooling. Now, we know, if we look at schooling these days, we know that schooling is very much politicized. But maybe when you look back, it was then. If you really wanted to tell somebody how to be a good person, you would teach them a lot of the things out of the Bible, funnily enough, because we are a Christian-based country. But, don't dump on your mates. Don't be a thief. Try your best not to tell lies. Treat people as you'd like to be treated yourself. Lots of different things. Now, that's what makes a good person. Having lots of wealth and doing nothing good with it doesn't make you a good person. Virtue signaling does not make you a good person. Although today in schools we're taught to virtue signal. And there are groups out there that feel that they're really great people because they virtue signal. What they actually achieve is very little, or they play into the hands of the system itself. So just try and think what makes actually a good person. Now, I'm not going to go down the religious road, but JC didn't have much, did he? And yet he's considered to be one of the most purest, best thing that ever happened to the planet, right? There have been a lot of people who have gone through life with very little that have done a lot of good things. And that their legacy was people always looked up to them and said, that's what I'd like to be like. The materialism that's been drummed into us from a young age is the part of the thing that causes our depression. And we are allowed to fail. Try not to if you can, but it's part of being a human. And when you fail, if you can learn from that experience, even better. But the system he wants to throw you under the bus if you fail. People want to look down at you if you fail. At least you tried. But yeah, this is just to teach you that when you see all these people that are offering great advice about how to get over depression, I'm not telling you how to get over depression at all. Because personally, I think once you've had it, you're always going to get it. I think there are people in this world that are susceptible to depression. That's life's little gift to them. Yes, it gave them depression, but it also gave them insight. it gave them humanity, it gave them empathy, it gave them all these different things that have created their depression that, say, for instance, other humans who don't have depression don't have either. I don't know many sociopaths that have depression. But there you go. That's my advice for the day. That's what I understand about my experience with the bipolar depression. But depression's depression, isn't it? Right? In the way that it lowers your mood and makes you feel bad. Yeah, I just thought I'd have this, see what you think. Have a little go in the comments. Tell me what you think of depression, your experiences. I've been off medication now for 18 months. I tried loads of times to come off it, and it didn't work. I tried to stop. That did not work, by the way. What I did in the end, for me personally, is I got my life in such a position where I was okay with it, and I understood what was going on in life, and I understood the things that were getting me down, and I took responsibility for the parts that I could control, and understood that some of them weren't in my control, and some things you have to accept are not in your control, right? Once I did that, and I surrounded myself with people that were good, right, I then slowly weaned myself off with the advice of the doctor, and here we are. It wasn't easy, but I'm actually personally have a lot less mood swings now than I ever did when I was on my meds. Now, that just might have been I was on the wrong meds. I don't understand much about the medication itself, and I'm not a doctor, and I'm not telling anybody to come off their meds if they're on them, by the way. That's something you've got to talk about between you, your doctor, your family, and all your friends around you and everybody that knows you well, all right? But yeah, me personally now, I'm at a stage in my life which is the most stable I've ever been. And yet, things aren't going great at the moment, I have to say, with the work situation and stuff. Literally 6 weeks, nothing. But I have got good people around me, and I've managed through ad revenue and some donations to keep my head just above water. Now, apparently, February is going to all turn around in my industry. With that, back to work, excellent. But it's going to be close. But even with all that going on, I am in the best situation now that I think I've ever been. Which makes you realise how bad it was before. But things are going to get better. And the reason they're going to get better is because they're going to make it so. You have to be positive about this. You have to evaluate your life, take responsibility, and just crack on. What is it? 2 forward, 1 backwards. That's how it seems. Sometimes you go 3 back, 1 forward. Most of the time, you're still walking forward. And every day you can get up and do that, you're all right. Anyway, I think that's enough of me babbling on. So I wish you all the best, and I'll get back to my normal content. See you in a bit.